What's up, guys? It's your boy Dale, back with another video, and today we're going to be going through all of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe shortcuts that I know. As a disclaimer, these are just the ones that I know and go for consistently. When I'm playing against other people, I'm going to be leaving out the ones that you'd be crazy to go for outside of time trials and the ones I don't know how to do yet. I'm also going to be leaving out any shortcuts that are super boring and obvious. And I'm also going to be going through these pretty quick, so I'll be skipping some of the more in-depth stuff. But let's get right to it. Alright, the first one is on Mario Kart Stadium. It's pretty simple. You start by getting an orange right drift, and then releasing it into 2 left hops, and then you get another orange drift that you take into the grass with you, and you release it in the grass and hop your way out. The orange is really important because it lasts longer, so you can hop all the way through the grass. That's going to be a resounding theme for the rest of the shortcuts. And for future reference, when I refer to orange, I just mean the orange drift turbo, and same with the blue and purple. I'm just not saying the whole thing to save time. Alright, the next one is pretty complicated. I only go for it when I'm feeling daring, but pretty much what you do is you start a left drift when you get right over that little blue thing, and then you release a blue when you get to the white stripe that I hop on, pretty much between the 2 lights. And then you should get pretty far into the grass, but you're going to need to hop once. And what I do is spam the hop button so that it hops as soon as you hit the ground. And then you should be able to land on the ramp and get a trick, and you might need to hop out of the grass. This one's pretty tough, but it's pretty cool looking. This one looks hard, but it's not. All you got to do is build up a purple and hold it for a while. You have to bonk into the wall right on the glider blue ramp thing, and then that'll bounce you back to forward. And then what you have to do to get over the pipes is just hold down for a while to get some air, and then as soon as you hit the second to last light, you hold back and left, and you should be able to drift between the wall and the little barrels. But the important thing is you have to hit the wall, and you have to be on the blue thing when you hit the wall. And don't hit the barrels. Okay, Thwomp Ruins right at the beginning. So you got to start with a right hop into a left drift, and you have to crank a hard left so that you build up an orange when you're in the grass, and then you release it in the grass and hop onto the ramp. The hard part about this shortcut is you have to get the orange, and you don't have a lot of space to, but luckily that little bump before you get into the grass gives you a little air, and if you hold left really hard in the air, you should be able to get the orange and hop out. Alright, Mario Circuit. This one is an extension of the boring mushroom cut where you just hold your drift until you get a purple and drift off the ramp, and you can dip outside the track and back on, and it is faster and it looks pretty cool too. Just don't hit the left fence like me. Alright, this is an easier version of the Shy Guy Falls shroomless shortcut than what you'll see online. All you gotta do is start a right drift right when you start getting under the tunnel, and then you have to bonk the wall at least once, or else you won't be able to build up that orange mini turbo that you need to hop into the grass. Okay, we all know this one, but did you know you can actually cut the corner way earlier? Alright, this one's barely faster, and it looks really lame because you gotta hop a lot, but you do get to avoid a lot of items and stuff. Alright, this is a fancy version of the normal Rainbow Road track jump. You drift off right after the peg, and then you land with an orange. This one's better than the normal way because you get to land with a boost. Yoshi Circuit mini gap cut. You have to get an orange right drift into a blue left drift, and then you just do a neutral hop over the gap, and then you can land in a left drift. The next clip is a two-parter. The first one's pretty fun. You do a right drift and get an orange, and you release the orange, but you wait a little bit until you get to the bend, and then you do a left hop to get straight again, and then you just hop right over the grass. You can get pretty close to the piranha plant, you can even go through it, and if you don't get far enough, you might have to hop a little bit to get out of the grass. The second part, you just do a left drift and get a blue and release it and do a hop, and if your aim is good, you can get between the left two tires, but you can also go between the right two tires if you're not feeling very brave. This next one is pretty tough and has a super long setup, but it looks super sick, so I always go for it. This setup starts with a left drift and release a purple, and then you wait a little bit until you get to the middle of the track, second to last light, and then you do a left hop into a right drift, and then you have to build up a purple turbo, and then you do two left hops and into a right drift, and you have to build up a blue turbo and hop really close to the wall and do a neutral hop, and then you land on the other side of the track. There's a couple really important parts to this. The first part is you have to get that right purple drift, and then you have to do the two left hops without falling off the left side of the track, and then you have to get the right blue drift before you hop over or you're gonna miss. And you have to do a neutral hop, without holding any direction, so you can get as much distance as possible. And you got to be really close to the wall, almost hitting it. A lot of precise stuff, but you can kind of get the hang of it after a few tries, and it looks awesome. This one's pretty simple. You just go over the boost pad and build up a right orange drift and release it while you're in the dark gray part, hop a bit, and then hold back so you get some more air, and then you should be able to land on the second ramping trick. Did you know that you can just go on the inside of the barrel if you get really close to it, and then you can release purple? And then you can also drift on this little wood thing before you go in the river to save a little time. All you gotta do here is left drift off of the top ramp and then release a orange in the grass and then hop a bit, trick off the second ramp. The orange is a bit hard to build up, but if you crank really hard left in the air, you should be able to do it. All right, this track has some of the best shortcuts and has a ton of them. This first one doesn't look like it saves a lot of time, but as you'll see in a later clip, it does. You just gotta build up an orange, hop when you hit the grass with your front tire, do one more hop in the grass, and then land on the boost pad. This next one's super cool. You just got a mushroom left drift into the grass with the glider, hit the glider, and then hold back really hard and a little bit of left and aim so you can hit the blocks, and then left drift off the blocks and release an orange on the track. This one's the super cool and super fast one. You start a left drift right after the cones. You pull a little extra left when you get to the right bend, and then you release an orange right when your front tire hits the grass, not the dirt, on that little white strip, and you do a neutral hop right over the tires. Here's a clip of me doing it online. Here's another clip of me putting both of the first two shortcuts together in the same race. As you can see, that first one got me from third to first, and then you can start the second one off really easy with a purple turbo out of that big curve. Here's another clip of me doing it on the third lap of the same race. Prepare to feel bad for the salty guy at the end. This one's pretty tough, but it saves about half a second and it looks really cool. On the first right curve, you do a orange, and then you do one left blue, into a right blue, and you gotta hop right when you hit the dark brown sand around where you're aligned with the pointed part of the column that falls over. And then if you do it right, you'll be able to trick off of the corner of that column and land on the other side. This one's super easy and saves a ton of time. Just orange turbo around the corner and hop and land on the track. This one's way easier than it looks. Get an orange around the corner, or a purple if you can, and then a left blue and hop on the curb. This one's not exactly a shortcut. It's a super bounce. You can look up a YouTube tutorial on that. I do a right drift into a blue to skip the route, and then I do a left drift off the right side of the ramp and then do the bounce. This one's apparently pretty obvious, but I didn't know about it until like last week. Little tiny shortcut. This is one of my favorite shortcuts in the game. The setup's pretty tough, but once you get the setup down, the execution's pretty easy. You just have to trick off the crack between the right two arrows on the ramp, and then land in a right drift on the very right side of the track. Then hold left to get close to the grass on the left side of the track, and then build up a blue turbo and hop way before you hit the grass, and then hop out of the grass. Here's a clip of me doing it in the old dry bones days. Big Blue is a crazy track. The first shortcut is a hard right drift off the right side of the track, and then hold back, and then land on the left lane. And then the second one is you do a left drift off the left side of the track right after the barrier, and then hold left and back in the air, and then land in the water. Two more shortcuts on Big Blue. The first one is a left drift up the left side of the track, going off the boost pad like I don't. And then on the green track, take a left drift off the left side of the track again after the boost pad. And for both of those, you want to be holding back so you can get as much air as possible. This one on Sky Garden's pretty simple. Just get an orange turbo, release it in the cloud, and hop out. This one's a mushroom shortcut. You do a right drift, and then when you're just right of the snowman, you do a mushroom, and then you hop out of your blue turbo, and you have to hop in the snow a little bit to get out into the ice. This one saves a ton of time. This one doesn't save too much time, just a little bit, but you do a orange turbo, and then you hop and trick off the ramp. All right, Mushroom Gorge Gap Cut. This one's got a lot going on, but the setup isn't quite as precise as I'm going to explain it here, but the better you do the setup, the easier it's going to be. So I start off on the green mushrooms on the right, and I trick off the second green mushroom, and then do a drift off of the first red mushroom to do a super bounce off the next one. Then I land on the track, skipping the last mushroom, and I land in a left drift. And about halfway across the track, I use the mushroom, and I build up a blue turbo, and then I hop and release the turbo as soon as I get to the very edge of the grass. The important things to have here are the left drift and the blue turbo. You have to build up the blue turbo or you won't make it. Also, you want to mushroom early, like mushroom in the middle of the track, not right before the grass. And then you have to hop right at the very edge of the grass. This one takes a little bit of practice, but it looks super sick. It saves a ton of time. As a testament to how tricky this shortcut is, the next clip is of me doing the setup almost perfectly and just barely making it. But at the same time, like I said earlier, it's not quite as exact as I explained it. You can do a messed up setup like I do here, and as long as you get the blue drift and hop at the right time, you can still make it. Here's a fun clip of me and Sarah post-bullet, demonstrating that you can do the gap cut with a star. Alright, the Peach Garden shortcuts are all pretty much the same, and they're pretty simple, but they have some tricky aspects. They look slow because you're hopping so much, but they actually save a bunch of time. The first one, you just gotta try as hard as you can to get an orange turbo, and then only neutral hop through the grass, don't hop side to side. And for the final shortcut, you might have to do a right hop first before you start the left drift to get the orange. Alright, here's the big one, DK Summit double gap cut. I found the setup here doesn't actually matter that much as long as you don't trick off of any of the last ramps in the mogul section. Once you get out of there, you want to be in the middle to left side of the track and start a right drift, swing around and build up a blue turbo and release it and start a left drift before you go off the track, and then drift off the track in your left drift and land in your left drift, and then go off the last side of the track just to the right of the fence, and right after you go off, release whatever turbo you have, and you should land on the track. If you happen to have an orange turbo, it's more likely that you'll do it perfectly and land right on the boost pad like you'll see in this clip here. I'm not really sure exactly how to do this. I don't get it every time. It's not really consistent, but it's pretty sick if you do happen to get it. About this shortcut is that even though it looks pretty precise, you can do some pretty jank stuff like you'll see here and still make the double gap cut. It might not be as pretty when you land, but no matter what you do, as long as you make the cut, it does save quite a bit of time. Alright, Waluigi Stadium. This is the shroomless shortcut. So you have to trick off of the mini ramps before the boost ramp, and then drift off the boost ramp like the left side of it, and hold left hard in the air, and then land and try to release a purple turbo, and stay to the very left of the track, right on the little hill, and just do your best to stay on the hill. It's pretty inconsistent, but even if you don't stay on the hill the whole time, it still saves a good amount of time. This one on Squeaky Clean Sprint doesn't save too much time, but it looks super cool. You got to get a purple turbo and a left drift, and then hop, and then you also hop again when you hit whatever trinket or whatever you land on. This one on Koopa Cape saves a surprising amount of time. You start a right drift on the boost ramps in the tunnel, and then you land in either an orange or purple drift depending on how well you did the first part, and then you release it in the waterfall and you can drive straight through it. Here's the DK Summit gap cut. I didn't feel like doing the time trial for it, so here's some footage of me doing it online. You know this one. The Ninja Hideaway shortcut's pretty cool. You do a left drift off the left side of the top level and hold left in the air to get an orange turbo, and then you release it before you hit the wall and bump into the wall, and then hold right, and it actually won't slow you down when you break the piranha plant because the orange turbo lasts so long. Here's a clip of me doing it online. It got me from 11th to 7th. This one's kind of annoying. On Piranha Plant Cove, you have to do a right drift and then release a blue turbo and do a left hop and then start another right drift before you go off the stair. And then once you go off the stair, you hold down and right, and then you should bounce off the red plant and then land with a purple turbo. But even if you do it wrong, you can just release the purple turbo and still get through. The second shortcut on this one is pretty similar. It helps if you get the blue turbo, but you don't need it. You just do a right drift off of the stair, hold down and right, and then release whatever turbo you get to get out of the sand. The last shortcut on Piranha Plant Cove, you do a right drift off the right side of the stair, and then you can skip more of the track than I did there, and then release a turbo. Here's the Rainbow Road gap cut. You know this one. clip of me doing it online. It gets me from like 7th to 2nd. That's all the shortcuts, folks. Thanks for watching. If you learned something, go ahead and smash that like and subscribe button. And hit that notification bell so you can get notified when I release another video, which'll be never. This is Cannondale, over and out. I love you, Jack Lacey.